Gloucestershire's roads.
Mark Smith
on BBC Radio Gloucestershire.
Now, Gloucester's MP is putting pressure on the government to ensure more trains stop at the city station. A new CrossCountry franchise deal is being worked out at the moment. Richard Graham told the Commons earlier today that under the current agreement, the city is being poorly served.
Only 3 out of 63 trains a day operated by CrossCountry on the so-called intercity service actually stop at the city of Gloucester. Would my honourable friend agree with me that it is absolutely vital that a significant increase in the numbers of trains stopping at Gloucester is a vital part of any settlement to extend the cross-country franchise?
Well, the Rail Minister, Claire Perry, sounded sympathetic but didn't make any promises.
He knows very well and has made this case many times that the rail link question is a very important one. The cross-country direct-to-walk and consultation process is currently in operation, and I'm sure he will continue along with the Council to make those very good representations.
Well, Richard Graham joins me from the centre of London. Richard, was that much of a reply? Were you happy with that?
It's a good start, Mark, because the important thing is I've had many conversations with Minister Claire Perry on this. She knows exactly where I stand, what the City of Gloucester feels, and I think she's very sympathetic to our cause. But she's also, of course, getting other representations from different people, and she's got to deal with the train operator itself and their case that they will want to make, no doubt, about their services and balance it all up in an effective way for the extension of any franchise. I think the key thing is that the Department for Transport and the train operator are under no doubt at all what we're looking for in Gloucester.
Now, when you actually go and quote figures like that, and I must admit that I don't take the train very often. I'm normally on a bike like you've been doing today. So actually, I'm not always completely sure. But to say just 3 trains out of 63 each day, that does sound very poor.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that is the Birmingham to Bristol line. So there are other trains that go on the Cardiff to Nottingham line that come through Gloucester. But I've always made the case that that's a separate service. And this one, the cross-country one that comes from Scotland all the way down to the bottom of the west of England, is the intercity service. And therefore, it should stop much more often at the city of Gloucester. If you want to work in Bristol or Birmingham, you want to have a commuter service, you need more trains than 3 a day.
What kind of an impact, then, do you think it is actually having on Gloucester by having so few of these services?
I mean, I don't think it's disastrous, because we've had to live with it for the last 9 years, and the numbers of people travelling on trains from Gloucester have increased significantly during that period, more than the national average, actually. But the key thing is it does inhibit people, for example, who have to change their lifestyles through no fault of their own. So, for example, the HMRC office in Gloucester, which they've already announced is going to close in 2017, I think a lot of people there will be offered jobs in Bristol. That's within commutable distance, but it's only commutable by public transport if you've got a decent service.
Now, the issue is that if you get more trains actually stopping off at Gloucester, almost just because of the geography of where things are, for those that don't know, trains have to almost, they come off the main branch line, have to come into Gloucester, it stops, then the driver has to walk from one end to the other end of the train because then the train goes the other way. That takes 10, 11 minutes, and there are some journeys that go from Cheltenham to Bristol, takes 40 minutes. So to have a 10-minute delay, that's 25% of the journey. I could see a lot of passengers would actually get a bit annoyed at having that delay on more services.
Well, Gloucester Station is where it is. Everybody's known that. Every single Great Western service on the Swindon and London line stops at Gloucester. And actually, the interesting thing is the delays from getting from one end to another are often not at Gloucester. They're really in the scheduling of services that go through the bottleneck to get into Bristol. So, for example, it's not so much about spending that time in Gloucester. It's about making sure that you've got a slot to arrive in Bristol. And it's the same thing with the London services. The bottleneck is at Didcot there. So I don't see that as the major obstacle, because Network Rail and the train operators have always argued, and they argued this successfully in 2008 when it was decided not to try and go for a railway station that was at the far end of the railway triangle. They've always argued that they didn't want that. So they've opted to deal with Gloucester Station as it is. And it's important that we get the services that we need for a growing number of people living in and around Gloucester who want to use the train station.
Over in Cheltenham, Alex Chalk, your Conservative colleague, he might well be saying, well, actually, no, the people in Cheltenham want to have a swifter route down. Everything does go through Cheltenham. That does seem to be the one that gets more of the trains. Can you work together in some way, or actually might he be saying, well, actually, no, I want them to stay as they are because otherwise it's having an impact on people leaving Cheltenham?
Well, Alex is a fantastic champion for Cheltenham. We work incredibly closely on a wide range of issues. And, obviously we've talked about stations and development and trains and so on as well. There will be times when what selfishly is ideal for Gloucester or ideal for Cheltenham will be slightly different. But the important thing really is that we want both of our constituencies to flourish and to benefit from really good services, which include the cross-country intercity service that I was referring to today.
Do we have an idea when there might be an agreement, when that contract might be sorted, and therefore for people who do want to see an improvement at Gloucester Station, when they might potentially see any improvement?
Yeah, the franchise expires this year, and I think what the Minister's announced publicly is that she's minded to extend it for 2 years, and then there'll be a sort of a complete review and open tender and all the rest of it. But during this period, there's a consultation going on at the moment, and at the end of that, there will need to be a new understanding between the Department for Transport and the operator about what changes they're going to make, and I very much hope that this will be one of them.
Richard Graham, the MP for Gloucester, thank you for joining us on the programme. If you are a train user, how much does it irritate you? The fact that, as Richard Graham has been saying, just 3 trains out of 63 during a day stop off at Gloucester. Or maybe actually you find it really irritating because you're on your way, having got on at Cheltenham or somewhere else, and you then have this sort of extra delay. You can always give us a call, 01452 307575.